So how many lists do you think you're on? Like you personally? Like, it's pretty common knowledge that the possibility exists, and it's probably more than likely that there's a file of some kind on every American citizen. And there's also a quite high possibility that they're keeping track of dissent. However that's done, I don't know. I don't really care. But it was a joke on message boards for, like, you know, since message boards have been around, about you know, being on a list, like a to watch list, or I think what it more likely is a we got to get rid of this person at some point list, and then it goes in order of importance. Excuse me. I got my COV's kicking in. Yeah, that's a bad one. I just had a boomer aneurysm. But it's a joke. It's been a joke. Like, you know, oh, if I'm on all the lists, or, you know, you're going to go on a list for this one. But there's got to be lists of some kind, of course. I mean, it's what every pre-communist takeover country kind of does. You know, this is, like I did a video earlier about how Gilbert Godfrey died. It could have been the COV cure. Might have been. We see that happening still. But it may have, you know, been both, or just the one. And what I'm kind of dancing around is the possibility that they're doing what a lot of pre-communism, like the Bolsheviks type of thing, where people are just being taken off the game board who may be a problem in some way. Because that happens. We've seen that. That's part of history. You know, we've seen that happen. Families killed and people genocided. You know. Oh, speaking of people genocided, I watched Marvel's Moon Knight because I wanted to see what their depiction of him would be, especially with the DID angle, which is something he didn't always have. You know, not when I started reading them. And as someone who has had the diagnosis, and it was pretty, you know, outside the fantastical situations that the show takes place in, it wasn't bad. But that's not about this. This is about lists. See, that would get me on a list, maybe. A list of someone who has really bad taste in entertainment. But, yeah, I mean, how many lists do you think you're on, really? If there are lists, and we know there are, so I guess I'm just asking straight up. How many do you think you're on? And another thing people don't understand about these lists is they always think the list is being made for some point in the future when shit hits the fan, like when things get really bad and there's some kind of open conflict already. No, this stuff it's already been happening. It just depends on how important you are or how much of a threat they think you are. And this sort of threat cachet could be accumulated by just what you say in a comment thread on YouTube or Facebook or anywhere. Dissenting opinion can lead to being a national security issue, which would identify you as a T-boy. That would be awesome, actually. Imagine that. You wouldn't see, no one saw that coming. But yeah, I don't want to use the T word, but it would qualify you as being in that group of people, and then you can just become disappeared. But it seems like there's a soft disappearing going on now. And this point, while in my mind, I'm probably going with the cope that, well, they get the more important people first, but that does make logical sense, right? So I would be way down on the list, because as far as actual threat, I just kind of walk around my neighborhood. You know, I'm always outside just walking around. I have very few friends that I speak with here in person. I used to have quite a big friend circle here. And COVID kind of broke that up, and I was kind of breaking it up beforehand anyway. Just because I found like I enjoy more time by myself, and I feel like I'm letting people down if I'm not doing something when they want to do something. I just feel like I feel bad, so I just kind of I've been getting more closed off, which is just better for me. But yeah, that's the cope is that I'm hoping they get the more important people. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's how it's going to happen. If the budget comes in to deal with they had a local program at the state level that's dedicated to helping in this, they may not have anyone who's real bad in your area or real bad people in your area, or so you get bumped up that list. So even though you haven't seen any real obvious signs of this going on, except, obvious to a wider mainstream acceptance, you don't know what order this is going in. But, I think of myself, and I've always maintained that as long as you're not getting too close to them or causing a problem for them, you could still shitpost on them. But the thing is shitposting and memes which the two are not mutually exclusive, but they've revealed themselves to have a lot more influence over reality, as some people probably first assumed. And they really do have an influence, because they're using, what they do is it uses, maybe unbeknownst to the memer itself, and usually not known to themselves, it's using the same sort of brainwashing techniques that they use against you to feel the way you do about the things they want you to feel a certain way about. It has the same meme magic, or the same magic. It's a spell. It's all spells. So what it is it's a counter, or not a counter, it's an identical form as one of the ones they use, just one, to, in my opinion, to get you to tune into a certain frequency. So memes have taken on a much more important, man, how's aneurysms today? They've taken on more importance. I was trying to find a nice way to land that, but man, I've taken too much plant medicine today, I think is a problem. But yeah, so it's almost become like having a folder of memes. Is that going to soon be like storing a lot of mags at your house? Like, what is that? Is it going to get like that? Because in the information war, in the war for minds, it's just as important. That's like the big gun, that's like a nuke. It could be like a nuke. So they could make this backdoor justification for all this. And I'm sure they thought of all this before. I'm just working this stuff out in my head. So yeah, with those kind of possibilities, you could get bumped up a list. You could become the ace card in that pack, if you know what I mean. Yeah, something to think about. I have a lot of feel-good stuff today. Don't blame the teacher, blame the school.